Hi everyone, welcome back to GenAI Learniverse. If you've been following GenAI trends lately, you've probably seen those stunning Ghibli style images all over your feed. From LinkedIn carousels to Instagram stories, they're literally everywhere. In fact, millions of these images are being generated and shared every day. It's one of the most viral AI art trends we've seen so far. The response has been so huge that OpenAI even had to throttle image generation temporarily because of the demand. But here's what most people are missing. While everyone's making pretty art, the real opportunity is using this new model for actual business applications that can save you hours and make you money. And here's the exciting part. The new image model released by ChatGPT isn't just good at making Ghibli art. It's one of the most powerful and flexible image models ever built, and you can use it to generate product designs, explainer visuals, infographics, anything your creativity allows. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to harness this new model and we'll build out 17th project of this series, an AI product design prototype generator that can turn your rough product ideas into professional grade visual prototypes. The core concept is simple. We're going to create an interface where you describe your product idea, choose some style options, and get back a professional product mockup using OpenAI's latest image model. Whether you're an entrepreneur, designer, or just someone with creative ideas, this is going to change how you think about product visualization. So, let's dive in and build this thing. Before we dive into building, let me quickly address the setup requirements. In one of my previous videos, I've already covered all the prerequisites, how to generate API keys, secure coding practices, and everything you need to get started smoothly. If you haven't watched that yet, I'll link it in the description below. However, for today's project, there's one additional step you'll need to complete. To use OpenAI's latest image model, which we're integrating today, you'll need to complete their API organization verification process first. Now, you might be wondering why this extra step is required. Here's what OpenAI says about it. Unfortunately, a small minority of developers intentionally use the OpenAI APIs in violation of our usage policies. We're adding the verification process to mitigate unsafe use of AI while continuing to make more advanced AI capabilities available to the broader developer community. So the verification process is quite simple. You need to go to this URL and once you press enter, you will be redirected to this page. Okay, if you are not logged in, then obviously you will have to first log in using your username and password. But this kind of page will open for you. And alternatively, what you can do is I'll will just go to platform.openai.com and then you click on this icon, setting icon, and this will again open the same page, right? I'll provide this link in the video description so you can directly click on that. Once you are on this page to verify your organization, you will click on this button. And I already have done the initial process, so it is not appearing for me. But for you, it will ask you to select the country name. Once you do so, it will ask you to select the document that you want, your identity document that you want to upload to verify your organization, right? So once you do that, you will have the screen like this, and you need to click on this button, Start ID Check. This will redirect you to the new page that would have one QR code. So what they are expecting is that you scan that QR code using your mobile. Okay, it doesn't require you to install any kind of application. Everything will be on your browser. So you'll scan that, and then whatever document you want to upload, whatever document is selected, you just need to scan that, and then you need to press submit. For me, it took around, I think, 3 to 5 minutes to complete the process. For you, it might take a little less or little more than that. But ultimately, everything was kind of straightforward. And after 5 minutes, it was verified for me, and the button changed to green button that verified organization. Okay, so this is the prerequisite that is required for you to use the new image generation model that ChatGPT has released. Now let's start the fun part, and I'll open PyCharm. I'll right click and run as administrator. So my project is open. So I'll right click and create a new Python file, and I'll give it a name as product prototype designer. Okay, and as we have been doing in our previous projects, we'll be importing some of the libraries required for us to work on this project. So let's do that. Okay, so we have imported the library. Streamlit we are using for UI. Base64 we are using for processing and displaying the images. OpenAI is our LLM, obviously the core of this project to generate all the images and doing the processing. And then finally we have datetime. Datetime we are importing just to save our file along with the date right? So that we can have the unique file names. Okay, so let's move to the next section. So in this section, we are kind of setting up the page configuration. I already have explained about Streamlit and all these functions in my previous videos, so I'm not repeating it again, but just to give you a high level idea, this function is kind of setting up the page title, and then layout, and then page icon. So for me, the page title would be Gen AI Learniverse Project 17 AI Product Design Generator. Okay, so let's move to the next section. In the next section, we are asking users to input the API key. Now, this is not the best practice to use the API key like this, but just to make the thing simple, I'm not saving it into the environment variable as I have explained in my previous videos. Right? In this particular project, users will get an options wherein they can input their API key. Okay, so here we are saving that API key in API key input variable, and then here in this under this function we are having the type as password. So to make sure that other person doesn't see the API key whatever user is entering, right? Placeholder is like a text that give an idea that to the user that API key should be started from sk dash. And then if they do not know or want to generate a new API key, they can use this link to go to that page and generate the API. Okay. Okay, so now let's initialize OpenAI client with UI input. So whatever API key that user has entered, now what it's trying to do is it is trying to create the connection. So it is initiating the object of OpenAI using the same API key that user has entered, right? And if it is kind of successful, then it says that okay, API key provided successfully, right? Or if in case this function gives any kind of error, it will give you a message that invalid API, right? Okay, so this is just to initiate the OpenAI client. Now in the next section, we are going to create a function that will craft a prompt for us based on whatever input that user is going to provide. Okay, so let's do that. So in this function, what we are trying to do is here we are kind of optimizing prompt. So as I have explained multiple times in my previous videos that for these applications to work the way you want, you need to make sure that prompts are kind of detailed enough, contains all the required information for model to generate the output the way you want, right? So here I have tried. This is not the final version. If you want to generate the output in a different format, on different manner, you want to include some specific details, then obviously you can play around with these prompts. But I think for me, based on whatever input I had, these prompts work well. So let's see how kind of I have drafted it. So in this function, I'm basically having three parameters. First one is description, style, and background. Description means whatever product description that user has given. Style is what kind of a style he wants that image to be generated with. And then background, whether he wants to have a kind of, I have given options to the users, then what kind of background he or she wants, right? So uh, based on the selection that user has done, this function will be called. Here we have the style modifier. So against each style, whatever we have provided in the drop down to the users, and obviously you can add more if you want. You can remove some of these if you want. So against all these styles, I have added some additional details so that prompt understand what kind of image we want to generate. So depending upon the premium, we have given that luxury premium material, right? Similarly, eco-friendly, sustainable materials, right? Futuristic, cutting-edge futuristic design. So basis the style that user has selected, I am kind of detailing out that what all specific details we need to include in the prompt. Similarly, in the background setting, I have right now added 6 different settings. If you want, you can add more. But similar to the style, for each settings, we are adding some parameter that what this setting mean, right? So for example, wooden table, I have added that natural wood surface with warm ambient lighting, right? Similarly, for gradient, a smooth gradient background, transitioning from light to dark, right? So for against all these styles background settings, we are also expanding it for our model to understand it more and generate the image the way I want, right? Then inside the prompt section, okay, what I have given is product design visualization, and whatever description that user has given, I'll be passing it over here. Then in the style requirement, I have given based on whatever input user has provided, right? So for example, user has provided input as premium. Then using this function, it will pick this particular section. Okay, so this is how this function works. Okay, and then I'm given this is the aesthetic, and this should be the background. Along with that, I also have added some additional thing that basically I tried couple of times. I played around with it, so you can also do that, right? You can also, if you want to change something, as I mentioned, you can also do that. And this is the final prompt that I've generated based on the description, style, and background user has given, and I'm returning it as prompt. So this complete prompt will be returned whenever this function will be called. Okay, so now let's move to the next section. I hope things are clear. If in case you find an issue or something is not clear, just let me know in the comment section. I'll try to provide more details. Now, this is the section where all the magic happens, right? So in this section, what is happening is, again, for calling this function, we need this expect the parameter as description, style, background, size, quality, transparent. So all this input we are expecting user to provide, right? So in the UI, we will have different sections for the users to provide this kind of input. For example, there will be a text box wherein using which user can provide the description. There will be drop down using which user can select their style, and similar for others as well, right? So to start with, I have added that spinner. So whenever user clicks on the button, a spinner will come and it will have this text appear in front of the user. Creating your product design, this may take up to 2 minutes for complex designs, right? Similarly, I have created a kind of dictionary using which user can select what kind of image he or she wants to generate, a square, landscape, portrait. And then based on the user selection, that size that user has selected, basis that this particular um, option will be selected, right? Now here we are again calling the same function that we just have created, the previous one, where we are crafting the prompt basis description, style, and background, right? So now we have our final prompt ready. Now this is the code that we have to generate the image using new image model, right? So here we'll be passing model as GPT image one, prompt, the prompt that this function gave, then size is the selected size that we have. So depending upon what size you selected, square, landscape, or portrait. Inside quality, we can also provide the quality, what kind of quality you want to generate. And then medium, high, depending upon whatever user has selected, and then number of images, right? And then if I want, there is one more option that I have given to the user, wherein if they want to have the transparent background, they can also do that. So if that transparent button is selected, then we are adding one more parameter in this gen parameters, wherein we in the background we are setting it as transparent, right? And in that case, the text will appear that generating with transparent background, right? Now, as soon as this function will be called, here is the function. As soon as we are done with our processing, we need to call this function. So this is the function for generating the image. Client is the one that we have over here, right? This client, right? And then this is the function to generate the image, dot images dot generate. And here are all parameters that we have passed, right? Whatever parameter we've supplied here, including all those prompt size, whether it is kind of transparent background or not. And then this function, this result will give us the final image that it generated. You remember we imported that base64. This is the one that we have used to process this result, the image, and finally we are converting into the image bytes because this is required for us to display it on the screen, right? Streamlit. So now to display the images, right? What we need to do, I have created a two kind of columns. In the first column, we are showing that image, what that image is. In the second column, we are showing all those details, right? Like generated details, like what was the size, what was the quality, what was the style that user selected, what was the, whether it was transparent or not, right? And then inside, as I also have mentioned, right, we are using date time. That time we just used to add it in the into the file name. So whatever file name we are creating as product design underscore step, right? And then we also have given one more button, that download button, wherein you can download that particular image using that file, right? In case of any exception, So if in case something doesn't work out, then we are showing this error to the user that generation failed, and basis the exception details, we are giving the kind of relevant error message to the user. For example, if there is kind of rate limit that was kind of reached, or there is some the prompt is violating any kind of content policy. So kind of error that we are getting, we are showing that to the user. Okay, so this function is also done where we are processing everything. So what we have done is we have selected the size, we have kind of used the final function, previous function to generate the prompt. Then we are setting all the required parameters. Then we are calling the final function to generate the image, passing that image to this to generate the image bytes, and then passing that image byte to display it using Streamlit. Okay, so now our final part would be to show the to create the UI, right? All these details, you need to pass using some option, right? You need to give some option to the user so that they can basically pass all these details to generate the kind of image they want, right? So let's work on that UI part. Okay, so this is our UI part that I have added. Okay, so here I have added the title. Again, I am not explaining what all these functions are because I already have explained in um, our previous videos. Even I had one dedicated video for Streamlit only, right, wherein I explained all these functions. But these are kind of self-explanatory. So this is for creating the title. This is for markdown, means adding the details, right? And then we have if this is for checking whether the API details was correctly provided or not. If it is there, then we are creating two tabs. First one is for giving the option to the users to provide all those input, and second tab is all about tips and examples, right? How, I mean, we are kind of letting user know while they are providing the input what kind of things that they should be considering, right? Then in the product description, we have a text area when we are kind of given a placeholder and asking them to provide their input, whatever product, uh, you know, uh, prototype they want to generate, they can provide their description, short description. In all these sections, as I have been explaining previously, we need to have the style. In the style section, we have given photorealistic, minimalistic, premium, everything, right? Similarly, background. Similarly, size, right? All these things we have seen in our previous functions, right? Then there is another advanced settings section that I have given wherein user can select the quality. So it can be auto, high, medium, low. So whatever kind of image they want to generate, they can generate it. Obviously, if you generate the high, if you select high, the cost would be more, right? So, and also it takes little long. Similarly, there's if you remember, there was one option for transparent background, right? If you select this option, your image will be having the transparent background, right? And then finally, we have the button, and this button is like to generate the product design. And if there is no description provided, it will ask you to provide the description. Otherwise, it will call the same function that we just talked about, right? This function, clicking on this button will call this function, and inside this function there is another function that we are calling to generate the prompt, and finally passing all those details to our main function, main OpenAI function to generate the image, right? And so that's it. Afterward, you need to have, as soon as you click it, your function will be called and your image will be generated. This is the second tab I just talked about, right? First one is generate image, wherein we are asking user to provide the required input, and second one is tips and example to let user know that what kind of prompt they should be providing. And this is a high level tips that we have given in the second tab, right? So let's quickly open it, run it, and see whether it is working fine or we face any issue. Okay. To run this file, I'll just right click on this folder, and as I have explained in my previous video, I'll click on open in terminal. Okay, and then I'll enter to run the Streamlit application. The command is Streamlit run, and then file name. So here my file name is product prototype designer. I'll click enter. Let's see if it works or it gives me any error. Okay, so seems like it is working fine, and it is asking me to provide the OpenAI API key. and it has all the title and everything. So let me provide the API key. Okay, so let me enter the OpenAI key. I'll press enter, and as you can see, it says API key provided successfully. Okay, so as I have explained in my code, and that once we enter the API key and if function gets successfully called, then this message will be printed, right? This is how it is printing. Now let's try some of the let's try to generate some of the product, and I'll use this um, examples, right? To generate, you can generate the product design based on whatever you want. So I have a sleek water bottle with bamboo cap and measurement marking on the side, and having the name maybe AI powered bottle. Okay, and in terms of design style, I'll keep it as futuristic. For the um, background setting, I'll create as wooden table. Size, I'll keep it as square. In the advanced setting, I keep it as auto. I do not change it, or maybe I'll just change it to high. I'll click on generate product design. Let's see what happens. Whether we are able to generate the image or it gives us some error. So it is kind of processing right now, creating your product design. This may take up to 2 minutes for complex design. That's what we have mentioned in the code, right? So seems like everything is working as expected. Now the only thing is we should have our design, product design, uh, the way we. So let's wait. It might take a couple of seconds or maybe up to 2 minutes. Okay, seems like our design has been generated and it looks beautiful. And as you can see, AI powered bottle, it has everything, whatever I expected, whatever details I have given. If I want, I can click on download, and this is how your product looks like, right? So this is awesome. I mean, seriously, if you'll ask any professional designer to do these kind of things, then they will charge a lot. And that's how companies were spending a lot of money to just create these kind of prototype, right? The only thing here is you might not be able to get the result in the first try. So you'll have to play around with your prompts. You sometimes you'll have to provide some additional details. Sometimes you'll have to provide some specific domain related terminology so that model understand what exactly you want and produce the result the way you want, right? So a couple of times as per my experience, I was able to generate the image, or I was able to get the output, be it text, image, video, whatever. So in couple of tries, right? I mean, end of the day, I was able to get the output what exactly I want, right? So it sometimes it takes, I'm able to get it in the first try. Sometimes it take a couple of tries for me to get the desired output, right? So you also need to try the same, and obviously you will be able to generate the images. Now in our last section, let's upload this code, and because most of you are only interested in the code, so let me do that and upload it on Hugging Face. Okay, to upload the code on Hugging Face, first I need to go to huggingface.co. Then I'll click on my profile icon, and then I'll click on new space, and I'll give it a name as product prototype designer. Okay, I'll also paste the same in the short description. License, I'll select at Apache 2.0. They have changed some of these selection of SDK. So since we are using a Streamlit, I'll click on Docker and we'll select a Streamlit. Okay, and then I'll keep it as public and I'll click on create space. Okay, so my space is created. Now what I need to do is I'll go to files, and inside requirements, let's see, we have Streamlit. We'll have to add OpenAI. So let me do that. Okay, and I will click on commit changes to main. Okay, so seems like they have changed the structure a bit. So initially, if you remember, we used to create app.py file. Now I see that is already there inside that SRC folder. So I'll click on this one. I'll click on edit, and I will just copy my code, whatever code that I have written. I'll paste it over here. Okay. And things should be okay. Let me click on commit changes to main, and I will be coming on app, and let's see what happens, whether it is building successfully or we face any issue. Okay, so seems like it is, it didn't give me any error, but even it doesn't. Okay, perfect. So now my application has loaded successfully. Let's quickly try it. Okay, enter the API key. Okay, so seems like it worked fine. All right. And again, I'll select some of these results from here. Um, okay, and I'll paste it here. Again, I'll just give a with the text on it, AI speaker. Okay, so this is what I have done, and in the selection, I'll just select premium, and the studio. Maybe I'll select marble counter, and rest everything I'll keep it as same. Okay, and I'll click on generate product design. Let's see what happens. And now as you can see, it is running on Hugging Face. Okay, perfect. So as you can see, my speaker with the name AI speaker has been generated and it looks beautiful, right? And again, I can click over here, and it will be downloaded on my machine. Here the product prototype looks like, right? And this is awesome. The quality, you can see, this is amazing, right? So this is how you can create the project. This was the small project that I have built just to show you how to utilize this model. The next project will be working on some little bit um, advanced project to show the capabilities and to utilize this particular model in more real world kind of application. Though this is also real world kind of application, obviously you can utilize this for any kind of product generation, prototype generation, but that would be a little more advanced. Yeah. So stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.